Thank you very much for coming this evening. My name is Leona Thorogood, and thank you to Tamara and the Hall Society for asking me to moderate tonight. This isn't my first kick at the cat. I've done this for provincial nominations, I've done it for municipal nominations, for county councillors, all of those sorts of things. So I've learned to be the bag from hell on a regular basis. With that, part of my job is not only to make sure that these people stay on time with what they do, but also to ensure their safety and make sure that we are all respectful of each other, that we mind what we say, and that we keep to the issues, not to personalities. So that is my job. If I feel that anyone is getting out of line, I will have no hesitation about asking you to leave, and what will happen is everything will be stopped until that person or persons are removed from the hall. So that's my bag from hell spiel. The forum itself has been pre-submitted questions, so there were questions that were sent via email, and then I've been picking them up tonight so far. There's a red basket over there, and Tamara, as she gets them, will bring them over here. It is my job to take those questions, and I will amalgamate them into one. So if a similar question has been asked, then it will not be asked specifically as you wrote it. So that is my discretion as to how that works. Hometown Productions, thank you very much. Give us a wave at the back there. Is videotaping, and this isn't church. There are chairs up front here, so you're more than welcome to come. Hometown Productions is videotaping this, and it will be up for people to watch within about 3 or 4 days, I understand.
24 hours, less than 24 hours.
Less than 24 hours, awesome. With that, we have already chosen the opening and closing rotation basis, and I have a rotation set up for questions. The questions that have been submitted so far, there's none that have gone to a specific councillor, so I will just do this on a rotation basis as I usually do. Each candidate will have a 4-minute opening statement. They will have 2 minutes to respond to any questions that are there, and if something happens that I feel is out of line, I have final jurisdiction over all of that. The closing remarks, the candidates will have up to 2 minutes in the reverse order from the opening remarks. The only issue is Christine Adams is not able to be here tonight. She has come down with a non-COVID related illness and has had to stay home. However, she does have a representative here tonight that we will introduce who will read an opening remark. That representative will not be answering questions, nor will be giving a closing remark. As far as timing goes, we have a timer over there, and she has got a clock. The candidates hopefully will see the yellow flag. That's something that I watch for as well. So once they see the yellow flag, they have 20 seconds to wind up what they're saying. If they see the red flag, generally I like to let them finish the sentence as long as it's not a paragraph. And then if it does go on too long, I will stop the remarks. Other than that, thank you all for coming tonight. This is the best part of representation of our community and our village, is that we get to choose who we want to represent us. And this evening, these fine people are going to be vying for your votes. And I wish each of you good luck. Same with Christine, I wish you good luck and happy campaigning. So with that, I think we will start. I will start simply by introducing our candidates in order, alphabetical order. Christine Adams, as I said, is not here this evening. Mike Green is our next candidate. Just wave, stand up, say hi, do a jig, whatever. Donna Marquardt is the next person, and Bob Duff is Huff. Okay. Can't read my own writing.
Bob Duff would probably be better.
Okay. You're a duffer at golfing, are you? Okay, got it. Okay, with that, the opening remarks. Our first person up is Donna. For the opening remarks, I will invite them to the podium if they so choose. Other than that, the candidates will stand at their places when they're answering the questions. So Donna, you are first up, and as soon as you're ready to go, our timer will start.
Yes, I'm Donna Marquardt, and I've decided to run, and I'm just going to let you know a little bit about myself and my training and experience. And I know I posted it on Facebook and elsewhere, but I have extensive bookkeeping experience, a lot of it forensic, in delving into old accounts, trying to find money or lost money or lose money for people that I've worked for. I also have done a lot of work in various businesses, from Imperial Oil Refinery down to small wellhead type people, and quite a wide variety. So I've seen business in a lot of different ways. I also have served as an account executive for the Edmonton Chamber of Commerce, and I was there for over 4 years, and I was considered and mentioned in the board meetings as a consistent producer, and nobody else got that honor, so I thought that was pretty good. But I never was the top producer, but I was consistent, so I felt good about that. There was a lot of political lobbying going on because there was the ring road being built. There was differences between the provincial and the federal government, and so the Edmonton Chamber of Commerce lobbied heavily for businesses in Edmonton and surrounding areas too, because of being part of the Alberta Chambers of Commerce, and they offered a lot of benefits like insurance and business-to-business benefits. I also operated a small business where I trained people to use computers, and I also set up wireless systems for them and whatnot. I have a degree in Bachelor of Medical Laboratory Science, so I've worked as a medical laboratory technologist both here and in the States. And I have got an electronics engineering technology diploma and a wireless technician diploma. You can tell I like going to school. I like learning. I've served on the Communications Committee for the Alberta Society of Medical Lab Technologists before it became the college, on an Employee Retention Committee in the U.S. For a national blood bank. I've tutored students at SAIT in Boolean algebra, which is really, I think, a lot of fun. And I've served on the boards of Granite Village twice, condominiums, say about 100 condos we basically ran and hired and fixed things. And I also have sat on the Alberta College of Medical Laboratory Technologists as a board member and financial liaison. So those are the things I've done, and my personal characteristics are my curiosity about things. I've read a lot about the Buffalo Lake Intermunicipal Development Plan and some of the municipal laws, and I've just got a lot more to learn, and I would like to do it for the benefit of the community. And that's my presentation.
Thank you, Donna. Mike.
Hi, good evening, and I'd like to start off by thanking the Hall Society for putting this function on. Looks like we have a great turnout for both you, the voters, and us up here as councillors. It's nice to see. My name is Mike Green, and I'm obviously running for Village Council. I'm running because I believe things can be improved in council. I don't want to keep the status quo, and I want to make some changes. You deserve someone who's willing to listen and not push their personal agenda, and I can promise you I'll stand up without timidity and always put your needs first. Before I go any further, I'd like to share a little bit about myself. I'm a Canadian Armed Forces veteran with 2 tours to Afghanistan and 1 domestic operation at the Calgary floods in 2013. I'm father of 2 boys, they're right here, and my wife Suzette's here tonight as well. I'm a natural leader who spends my free time here in White Sands fishing, boating, kayaking, and in the winter ice fishing. Sorry. Now I'd like to share with you what I think needs to change. Council obviously needs to be more transparent. I think everybody I've talked to in the last few weeks have all said the same thing. They never know what's going on. So I'd like to push that, be more transparent with everybody. Public engagement, I've never been engaged about anything. And I think public engagement's important because this isn't council's village. This is your village. It's our village. We should all have a say in what happens. We need clear and open communication, social media, website. I understand not everybody's on social media. Maybe not everybody's got great internet out here. The email lists, right? They have to continue moving forward. And I believe we need to implement an effective garbage and recycling program. I don't know, long weekends, garbage is piled up, and there's no need for it. That could be all handled fairly easily, I believe. If elected, I won't pretend to have all the answers. I'm not that naive. I will, however, work with you and fellow councillors to find the right answer for us as a community. Unity is vital. I believe it's time for the citizens of White Sands to be heard and to unite. I feel as a village we can come together with a common goal and make our community safe, prosperous, and vibrant. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Bob?
Thanks, Leona. So when I decided to run for council, I said to my wife, Polly, and I said, did you ever in your wildest dreams think I'd be running for council? And she said, Bob, I hate to tell you this, but you're not in my wildest dreams. I would like to thank the previous council members for their great stewardship of this village. I'd like to thank the Hall Society for putting on this forum, and I'd like to thank the other people running for council. These things are all necessary to have a strong and vibrant democracy. I'd also like to thank Christopher and Matthew. Put your hands up, Christopher and Matthew, who are my campaign managers here. So. I'm a retired dentist after practicing for 37 years. My wife, Polly, and I owned and operated the dental practice. During that time, I was very involved in organized dentistry. I was on the board of the Calgary and District Dental Society. I was on the board of the Canadian Dental Association, and I was on the board of the Alberta Dental Association and College, which is the self-regulatory body for all of dentistry in Alberta. And I was the president of that organization in 2011 and 2012. I started coming to Buffalo Lake in 1976 when my parents bought a cabin at Roche-on Sands. And then our family loved it so much we bought our place here in White Sands in 1997. When I first started coming to Buffalo Lake, it was just a hidden gem. There was many days that my brothers and my buddies and I were the only guys out on the lake, and it was fantastic. I've just seen tremendous growth in this area, area over the last 46 years, and that's testament to what a great place that it is. And I think that this growth is the challenge that councils are facing, have been facing, and are facing in the future. And in trying to deal with this problem, we're going to have to deal with the County of Stettler, Camrose, Lacombe, the summer village of Roche-on Sands, and to some extent the town of Stettler. But I think if we work together as reasonable people, we can come up with reasonable solutions. I think some of the main issues facing our village right now are the environmental impact of the increased amount of recreation on the lake. We're out here to use the lake, and nothing gives me more joy than to see children playing on the beach, but we have to keep the health of this lake first and foremost. I think the second thing that's a concern out here is our access to first responders, and I know that's not a direct thing that we have control over, but if somebody has a heart attack or some child hurts himself, we need an ambulance here, and I think we have to advocate for that. And I think that obviously the elephant in the room is sewage disposal and this roadway allowance, and I think it's going to take some negotiation to get that sorted out, but we certainly have to try to get that sorted out, because some people, if you're getting a pump out every couple of weeks, your bill is going to be thousands of dollars a year, and it's just going to get unaffordable for people. So we have to somehow sort that out. I can't say that I have all the answers to all of the problems. In fact, probably the only time that I'm the smartest guy in the room is when I'm alone. But I do advocate, I do commit to working as hard as I can to study the issues and to advocate, along with the other councillors, for the great residents of our great summer village. Thank you very much.
As I said, Christine is not here, but we do have Vanda, who is going to read her opening comments.
All right, Chris sent this email out to on Facebook, and I changed it a little bit with her permission, just so it flowed better from a speaking perspective. But basically, this is the opening statement that she has given me to relate to you guys. So, my name is Christine Adams, and I've been privileged to have owned a residence in the summer village of White Sands since 2000. Married, a mother and a grandmother, we are fortunate to have and to continue to spend so much family time at the lake year-round. I'm running for council to promote continued growth of the summer village of White Sands. I stand for communication and transparency, and I am eager to resolve the current issues we are facing as a rural community. The road bans currently disrupting our summer village are threatening our access, sewer haulage, and efforts to grow as a community by disrupting heavy construction machinery. As a healthcare worker, I work within current cutbacks, the politics, and rapid decline of our healthcare, not only in Alberta but in Canada-wide on a daily basis. The reduction of funding to the Stettler District Ambulance Society is just yet another example of the cutbacks to healthcare resulting in reduced patient care for Albertans, and I will fight against this. I'm currently a pathologist assistant in anatomical pathology at the Red Deer Regional Hospital Centre, with full retirement to the lake in the very near future. Emigrating to Canada from the UK in 1988 with a Bachelor in Biological Sciences, I was fortunate enough to begin my career as a medical laboratory technician in 1989. I advanced to the pathologist assistant position in 2006. I'm registered with both the Canadian Association of Pathologist Assistants and the College of Medical Laboratory Technologists of Alberta. My occupation can be extremely challenging and requires extreme attention to detail. Based on my extensive knowledge of anatomy, I provide precise anatomical descriptions, including locations and measurements, along with crucial selections of samples to pathologists for diagnostic and patient treatment plan purposes. I work closely with a team of medical professionals, including but not limited to other pathologist assistants, physicians, and surgeons. I've become a valuable team member with exceptional organizational and decision-making skills. I'm a strong communicator and enjoy problem solving. I have served on many focus groups, committees, and professional learning conferences, some which deal with implementation of new policies and procedures. I also routinely partake in professional development courses. I'm fortunate to have been involved recently in the White Sands Bylaw Review Committee, which was enormously valuable and added much clarity to my understanding of that aspect of the summer village. I found it extremely interesting, and I'm confident that this previous experience will also add to my skills as a counselor for the Summer Village of White Sands and to contribute to the great community that we have here. Having just returned from a month trip to the UK, I unfortunately became sick with a severe flu, not COVID, and I was not able to attend the forum in person. And she goes on to say, if anybody has any questions, do not hesitate to contact her via email or through the White Sands Facebook. And I'm assuming there'll be some means to communicate her email address after this, or I don't know.
That will be the Hall Society. You
Okay.
can choose that.
Anyways, that was Chris's opening comments.
Just as a reminder, I did forget to remind everyone, please ensure that your cell phones are on silent, just for the courtesy of the candidates as they go through. We're going to start off with an easy question to begin with. And that first question is, how long have you owned a residence in White Sands? And have you done any volunteer work in our community? The first person to answer this will be Mike, then Bob, and then Donna. Make sure you've got the mic.
So I've had a place here in White Sands, or a property here in White Sands for the last 3 years. And no, I have not done any volunteer work within the community.
Great, thank you. Bob?
Hi, I've had a place here, as I said, I was in Rochon Sands since 1976, and we purchased our place here in 1997, so it's 25 years. No, I haven't done volunteer work in the community. My volunteer work has been mostly related to providing free dental services to people that can't afford it. I've gone to South America and Central America numerous times, and I also did free work with the Calgary Urban Project Society and the Alex Dental Bus, and I so most of my volunteer work was to provide access to care to the people that couldn't afford dental services.
Donna?
Yes, I've been here since, or I've had property here since 2020. And then a year later I moved, or less than a year later, I moved an RTM house onto a base, and I've been here ever since. And I sort of was almost here full-time anyway, living in an RV. Yeah. And I haven't done any volunteering here per se, but I've done a lot of volunteer work such as sitting on condo boards, sitting on the College of Medical Lab Technologists of Alberta, sitting on committees for various organizations. And so I do a lot, and leading in a church as well. So that's my experience.
Thank you. Next question, and the order will be Donna, Mike, and then Bob. There are many lots in White Sands where the family owners have 1 or 2 RVs on a developed lot. Do you believe that this is an issue, and why? And are you clear on the village bylaws concerning this, and any other points to clarify?
Well, I think you have to take a look at what the situation is for each individual. Like mine, I know I have 2, what might be classified as 2. One is a toy hauler to haul things, and the other is my van. And that van is actually a handicap van. So, we have to make concessions for various things that go on. So I don't know, if there's 2 or 3 RVs, each situation has to be looked at, and you have to decide from there. Because there's a lot of different types of what you might call RVs, or campers, or tent trailers, or tents. Anyway, that's my comment on it.
Thank you. Mike?
So I'm one of the properties that have 2 trailers on it. There's only one right now. I do understand the bylaw. Do I see it as a problem? I don't. It'd be nice if everybody could start developing right away, but in terms of growth, I think there should be a limit. There shouldn't be like 5 or 10 RVs on a lot by any means. But I also think that a trailer shouldn't be considered a residential dwelling either, and that's something that I would be looking into if elected.
Bob?
You know, personally, I don't have a real problem with people having RVs on lots. And I know there's bylaws as to how long you can have the RVs. I can't say that I know the exact bylaws word for word. But I know my thing with RVs and things is that I want people to, you know, if they want to try to do something that's against the bylaw, go to council and ask for permission. I prefer people to ask for permission to do things than rather just go ahead and do it and ask for forgiveness. So there are, you know, a number of variances in the community as far as people that have oversized garages, people that have, you know, more than the allowable amount of buildings on their thing. And again, if people would just ask and they get approval for those type of things and council knows, then I'm okay with it. But I just don't like people just doing things and then getting mad afterwards if they get called on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Orders of the next question. Bob, you might as well keep the mic. Mike and then Donna. What is the highest priority facing White Sands at this time? Why do you feel that way, and how would you address it?
Well, I think the highest priority right now is this sewage disposal and the road weight ban. I think that it's certainly an issue that is going to cost people an awful lot of money. As I say, if you have to get 2 pump outs a month, your bill is going to go from $3,000 a year to $7,000 or $8,000 a year, which is just unaffordable for a lot of people. Now, the issue with that is, I think you have to determine what the legality of that is. And if what the county is doing by putting this road weight ban on, if it's illegal, then we have to go to municipal affairs to try to get that solved. If it's legal, then basically they hold the aces and we have to negotiate with them and come up with some kind of a cost shared allowance for that road, because they feel that we're using that road more and that road needs a lot more maintenance than any other similar type road in the county. The second thing is, as far as the sewage, we have to make sure that we have a sewage pond that's close by. We don't have anywhere that we could do it here. I know there's one in Red Willow, but I don't think it's being used right now. I'm not sure. So I think our sewage is having to get hauled to Bashaw and Forestburg and all over the place and things like that. And the one in Red Willow makes logical sense, because it wasn't built just for the 15 people or whatever there is in Red Willow. I don't know how many people live in Red Willow. So I think that should be the community sewage thing. So I think that's the #1 priority in our village at the moment.
Thank you. Mike?
I think the #1 issue with the village right now is our relationship with the county. Kind of goes hand in hand with the road ban and sewage disposal. We need to rebuild that relationship, and I think that's probably the most important thing, is rebuilding that relationship with the county so we can possibly use Red Willow and get that road ban lifted. I'd be really interested in finding out what happened at that meeting today. So.
Donna?
And I must agree with all of you. I think our biggest problem right now is the sewage and the road. And you made a really good point. Is it legal? We don't know. I haven't been able to find something that states whether what's been done is legal, because we've basically been cut off of sewage and cut off of full use of the road system. I've been looking at some of the grants, and most of the grants for road systems are to counties, not to Summer Village. So if we have to look at putting money in to cover a road, we should be getting some type of gas tax funding to do that. And that's my thought on it, but we do have to build that relationship with the County of Stettler. Thank you.
Great, thank you. This one was submitted tonight, and the order will be Donna, Bob, and then Mike. Do you think the taxes that we pay in the village are reasonable, and would you raise them?
I have been quite shocked with the amount of taxes that have gone up, considering that we don't have a septic underground system, we don't have an underground water system, we don't have paved roads. You know, we provide a lot of these services for ourselves in terms of having septic tanks and water tanks to provide our own water. So the amount of taxes that we're paying, I think, has gone up far too much. But I don't know what the solution is, because now we're faced with this problem with the County of Stettler and the roads and the sewage. So it really does bode well to take a good look at the finances and just see what is happening with them, because we need to tighten our belts somehow without harming ourselves.
Thank you. Bob?
So here's the issue with taxes, is that we don't actually control a big portion of our tax bill. I think about 40% of our taxes go to the provincial government for school taxes, and about 10% of our taxes go to provide services from Stettler, like the police service, the ambulance service, and the lodge, and things like that. So I honestly think that the village is being run fairly efficiently. And so if I stand up here and say, no, I'm not going to raise taxes, what if the provincial government increases the school tax by 10%? For us to not raise taxes, that means that we have to take away a significant amount of services in the village. So if I am elected up to council, I'll go through every expenditure line by line and try to find efficiencies. But during a time where we don't necessarily control some of our taxes because of what the provincial government is doing, and in a time of high inflation, I'm not going to stand up here and promise you that the taxes will not have to go up. And the only way that would happen is is if we keep taxes the same, is probably to have things get run down around here, and that's the last thing that I want to see. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think anyone likes to pay taxes. I know our taxes have gone up quite a bit, and as Bob here said, we don't control a lot of that. I would like to not raise taxes, and I definitely do everything in my power to keep them where they are right now until it becomes time where it's inevitable.
Great, thank you. Next order will be Mike, Bob, and then Donna. Okay, let's switch this up a little bit. How will you improve communications and resident engagement?
Number one, I would reach out and make sure everybody knew about meetings that were happening. I wouldn't change dates and not tell anybody. Public engagement's really important. If there isn't enough internet here at the hall and there's no way to get the internet here, there's other options. Starlink is one of them. Relatively inexpensive, and I think it'd be a great option to pump out council meetings, do engagements to those who don't necessarily live here or can't make it out.
Okay, thank you. Bob?
Yeah, I think, some part of communication issues that people maybe think there have been are COVID related, that we weren't really able to have an AGM for a couple of years. So certainly I think the AGM is a great thing to have, and we had one this year and it was very, very well attended. We certainly want to have council meetings, people have access to the council meetings. We will also I think we need to have town halls when there's a big issue to sit and get people's input on those type of things. I know people get worried about when there's in-camera meetings in council, which means that but you sometimes do have to have in-camera meetings because there's some very serious legal issues that are sometimes discussed in council. So I would certainly be happy to, if I get elected, people could certainly call me, write me, and I would commit to getting back to everybody and returning phone calls or returning emails and answering the questions to the best of my ability. And if I don't know the answer, I'll certainly find the answer for you.
Donna?
Yes, I think we live in a community where there's a lot of brains. Everybody in here has had a full life experience except for the real young ones. And there's tons of different careers and aptitudes. And I would like to see committees picked from like everybody, not just a select few people, and deal with some of these issues, like maybe a boat ramp or maybe a boat dock or something like that. But that would be a 5 to 10 year plan. Would require a lot of input from people over the years because there's a lot of people to deal with, the Alberta Environment contractors, etc. But I would want to see community engagement, town hall meetings, and definitely some type of communication from the council as to what they were doing. I sit in these council meetings and listen to what's going on, and I know stuff that's going on, but you don't get to see it until a month later in the agenda and the meeting minutes of the previous meeting. So I think that could probably be improved in terms of letting people know so that they can attend a meeting that maybe they've got a great interest in. Thank you.
Thank you. Next order will be Bob, Mike, and then Donna. If a resident, visitor, or contractor is found to be dumping waste water onto the MR, ER, along the lake, or in surrounding ditches, what do you think should be done about this?
Well, I think that's a fairly simple answer. You contact Alberta Environment and Parks and report them and have them dealt with through the proper authorities, because I think that the health of the lake is #1 priority around here. That's why we're all here, is this beautiful lake. And if we start dumping things, then I think that's going to create a problem. So we report that and let the proper legal authorities deal with those people in the proper manner.
I can really only echo what Bob said. I ran hydrovac for 5 years, and if we had chlorinated water drop on the ground, it was a huge incident report. Everything needs to be reported to Environment Canada and the proper authorities, and should be dealt with accordingly.
Donna?
And I agree with the two gentlemen who just spoke.
That's perfectly fine.
Reportable incident.
Sometimes there's only one answer. All right. Well, while we're talking about let me just go here. While we're talking about the ER and the MR, has the village communicated clearly what the storage of docks and lifts on the ER and MR is allowed, and what is your position on this? And the order for that is Donna, Bob, and then Mike.
Well, having sat in a few meetings, I think there's a great deal of confusion going on around what is allowed and the various government agencies that are dealing with this. So I think that we have to be a little bit patient and to work with city or town council, village council, as to what is allowed, and Alberta Environment, and kind of figure our way through it until we actually have a really clear plan, which I would set up a committee to do.
Thank you. Bob?
So I think the issue with this is that there are disturbance standards for docks and piers that Alberta Environment and Parks has put out. Our lake is different than most other lakes in the province because we have a right-of-way around the lake. And so that sort of changes what the law is within the disturbance standards. So most lakes, the lakefront owner is allowed to own up to the high water mark, and we have the right-of-way, which creates a bit of an issue as far as that's concerned. And I think we need to go to Alberta Environment and Parks and clearly communicate to them this difference and advocate for where to store docks and set up. And we do have, I think it's my understanding that that right-of-way, the lease on that right-of-way is in negotiation right now. We negotiate where to store docks. Right now, I think they would want us to store docks on the municipal reserve, which, and I've looked around at that, that would mean taking a lot of trees down, and to me, the right-of-way is the logical place to store the docks, because we can store the docks on grassy areas without that. So this is just something that I know Council has been talking to Alberta Environment and Parks, because we had one of their people out here doing a walkabout on the lake about a month or two ago. And so that's just something that we need to negotiate, where to store docks in the most environmentally friendly manner without having to take down trees. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
So I don't think council has explained enough to the village about it, but I don't think that's their fault. There's different agencies involved in the whole thing, and maybe they're a little confused themselves. Myself, I don't want to be cutting down trees to store docks and lifts. I don't think that's the right way to go. However, it's not really what I want, it's what the village wants, and we need to engage everybody and figure out what that looks like for us. And obviously what falls within line of the laws federally and provincially. Thank you.
Next order will be Donna, Mike, and then Bob. Let's go with an easy one. What is your vision for the village?
Oh, boy. I did a little bit about that in my blog, and I think we need to develop a written vision and purpose for our community so that we know what is important to the residents, and this will help guide planning and development, as well as what our future looks like. And my question to you is, do we want to be like every other village, or do we want to have an environmental purpose and embedded in the community? We have a rare opportunity to be different. There's not very many communities like this. And I would really like to see a committee put together to help develop a vision for the community, because it'll come from everybody, not me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
So my vision for the village, we can't grow much more. There's a set limit of how many dwellings and whatnot we can have. I'd love for it to stay much along the same as it is right now, but with more communication, with more events, getting the younger crowds out, things that my boys can enjoy and things like that. So when I'm older and retiring, they can take over and enjoy it with their kids. That's my vision for White Sands.
Thank you. So I've handed around, a lot of you probably have handed around my election card, so I'm going to read off the back of it what my mission here is. It's to work together as a community to preserve and enjoy the beauty of Buffalo Lake in a well-informed and environmentally sound way for generations to come. So that's my vision for the lake. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, some of these are going to be a little bit similar to what you guys have already talked about, but have a different bent on it. So this will be Bob, Donna, and then Mike. On the average, sewage disposal has increased from $150 to $300 per load. Councillor Stevens has indicated that sewage haulers only get charged a minimal annual fee for access to all county lagoons for disposal. Currently, the providers are required to haul outside of the county, so as you guys have said, to other communities. Would you be in favor of a per load fee if it meant access to county lagoons? Or do you have another solution? And how much of this is the village's responsibility? Yes.
So that's a very difficult question to answer because I don't have all the numbers. I don't know what the per load fee would be, and I don't know what the annual fee is for those people. So again, that would be something that I would have to look into the numbers. But certainly I think we have to pay our share into any kind of a lagoon, and because I think sewage disposal is of prime importance, because we certainly don't want the price of sewage disposal to get to the point that it's unaffordable and people to start doing silly things like, you know, punching a hole in their holding tank, or trying to just go and shoot their sewage onto some farmer's field. So I really can't give you a great answer on that until I look at the numbers. But I certainly think that getting access to some kind of a lagoon within the county would be much more affordable, because then the sewage haulers don't have to, if they only have to take a half an hour to do a trip as opposed to an hour and a half, it's got to keep the cost down.
Okay. Donna?
Yes, it's a very knotty problem. I do know that Alberta Environment will allow some sewage haulers to dump on particular pieces of farmland if there is a whole bunch of conditions surrounding it that are met. And I do know that there is one hauler that got that permission, but that permission will probably end, or his ability to do anything about it will end in probably the end of October, freeze up, whatever that is, because you can't put human sewage on top of ice or frost or whatever. It has to be worked in somehow. So I do know that for the current situation of people, there is at least one hauler. I don't know about any of the others that can haul locally, and so the price is a little less onerous. But I do know that the first time this year that I emptied my septic tank, it was $250 before the road ban, and they had to go all the way to Bashaw. And speaking with some of them, it's really hard for them to make a profit. So the county is harming the businesses too, because with the price of gas and whatnot. So some kind of solution has to happen, even if it's our own lagoon or our own arrangement with a farmer who has a lagoon, who knows. There's options out there besides just falling down and bowing to the county.
Okay, thank you. Mike?
So I'll go back to what I said in I think it was one of the first questions. It's building that relationship with the county and trying to fix what's going on there. It is absolutely ridiculous to be taking our sewage out to Bashaw when Red Willow is right over there. Some negotiations have to be had. As far as paying extra for it, that all falls under negotiations, and I don't know what that looks like, so I can't say whether or not I'd be okay paying per use or a yearly subscription to these haulers. I'm really not sure, but another option, and someone brought it up to me, was our own lagoon here in White Sands. I don't know where that would be placed, but that may be an option to look at. Along with that, though, is a very large price tag, and that would require lots of public engagement.
Okay, thank you. Next question will be Bob, Donna, and then Mike. What changes would you like to see for this community in the future?
Honestly, I don't want to see a lot of changes, quite frankly. I quite like the community. I think we've got a beautiful community. I think we have wonderful people out here. I think we have great friendships out here. I certainly see that there's growth out here because people love it out here, because it's a wonderful place to be. So quite honestly, as I say, I think if we can keep this place in a healthy environmental state and allow our children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren to leave this legacy for them, I think that would just be a wonderful thing.
Donna.
Yes, I really enjoy being out here. I enjoy the wonderful night skies that isn't taken away by light pollution, being able to hear the crickets and the frogs and smell the fresh air. And really my vision for White Sands would be more trees. My lot's bare, and I'm sure some other people would like more trees for theirs too, but I really like it the way it is, and I hope we can keep it environmentally active, having birds, rarer birds nesting. I love seeing the bluebirds, the killdeer. There's, just a ton of wildlife out here that is just wonderful to see, and you would never see this in a big city or even hear it because of all the sirens.
Thank you. Mike?
I'd like to see more interaction with the kids, whether that's having a winter bonspiel. I know there is one that we typically have, but like increasing that attendance and getting the kids more involved in keeping this environmentally viable, but getting the kids out and doing more with them. Some maintenance in the trails, maybe light up the park. I really don't want to see streetlights and pavement and any of that stuff, but if we could light up the parks and maintain some trails and really get the kids out and enjoying it out here. The kids are far too much into their phones and tablets and stuff, so it's really important to have their presence.
Alrighty, this will be Mike, Bob, and then Donna. What do you perceive to be the key characteristics to being a good representative or a council member?
I think the key characteristics of somebody who wants to be council is someone who will listen to what the public wants. For a councillor to push their own agenda is completely wrong. They don't work for themselves, they work for all the taxpayers. So listening to what they have to say and what they want is very important. Someone who won't stay quiet when something's going wrong, someone who will stand up and fight for the village.
Thank you. I'm a great believer in democracy, and I think, I think we need to do what as long as everything is, as I say, if anything is, as long as it's not illegal, immoral, or life-threatening, I think then we do what is the vast majority of the people want to do. So I think if I get elected to council, I'll listen to the village residents and try and do to the best of my ability, what they would want, you know, provided that we can certainly can afford it and provided that it's environmentally friendly. So, yeah, again, it just to I think the key thing is listening to people and studying the issues properly, and then doing what the village wants to be, village residents want done. Thank you.
Donna?
Yes, I believe that we have to listen to people. We have to listen to what's going on in your community, in your section of town, in the whole area. We have to take a look and say, okay, is this right that this is happening? Is this something that we can work with? Are we allowed to do this? There's a lot of factors, because we're in a lake community, that we have to take into account. But definitely we have to listen to the people. And as a counselor, I would want to hear everybody's story and everybody's problem in terms of living in this village, because there has got to be either a short-term or a long-term solution. And I think together we can find it. Thank you.
Thank you. Donna, you will be up first, Mike, and then Bob. White Sands is one of the only villages in the surrounding county that is not accessible by pavement. Is this a concern? And what part should developers in our community play in road improvements? Or do you believe this is a village responsibility?
Wow, loaded question.
They're not always.
I happen to like that we're not connected by pavement. It tends to keep a little bit of the riffraff away, and because if you go down to Sylvan Lake, you can see the difference between what our beaches look like and what Sylvan Lake's beaches look like. And Sylvan Lake is paved just about everywhere. I think I like our winter roads because they're not paved, they're not slippery, they're basically frozen and very little maintenance required. And they keep the speed down because there's animals out there. If we have a highway, we're going to have trouble with people speeding, animals getting hit, lots of people coming in that perhaps really don't have the best interest of White Sands at heart. So, you know, I don't see this as an issue I would change, but if I had to, well, I would certainly look at which would be the best route to pave, and I would also ask you guys what is the best route to pave if we had to go there. Thank you.
Mike?
Paving roads could increase response times for emergency services, which would be great. With that said, I think the pavement should stop, if it ever did come in, would stop at the water station. As far as who's in charge of paying for it, or who that would fall under, that's something, when the time came, we'd have to look into. I don't feel that, personally, I don't feel that we should be on the hook to pay for that. However, again, it's up to you guys. It's up to the people of the village if they want paved roads and what that would look like moving forward.
Bob?
Well, I think ultimately, you know, would I like paved roads? Sure, in an ideal world, I think paved roads are great. Practically, paving roads is about $1 million a mile, paved roads. So if you wanted to pave the road from 56 to the water station, that's 6 miles. So certainly we can't afford that, because that's 10 years worth of our budget, sort of thing. So that would either have to be done through a grant by, you know, either by the county of Stettler, or it would have to be done through a grant from the government of Alberta. So I honestly think it's kind of a moot point. I guess it's just too bad that Don Getty wasn't the premier a little bit longer. Those of you old enough to remember, he was paving roads like crazy around here about 30 years ago. But I think it's, honestly, I think it's a bit of a moot point.
Thank you. All right, next question is Bob, Donna, and then Mike. What structural developments, if any, would you like to see in this community in the future?
Can you tell me what they mean by structural development?
Nope, because I don't know. Sorry.
I guess I'm not sure. I don't really want a lot of structural development. I think probably what they mean by that is my guess, and I may be wrong, and if I am, I apologize. My guess would be whether they wanted water and sewer to every house. Again, I think it's, in an ideal world, would I like that? Yes. Is it practically affordable? No. So I honestly don't want to see a lot of structural development. I want to see the playgrounds kept up. I want to see the hall kept up. I do think that, you know, they were talking about having an office for the staff. I think we need an office. I don't think we need a $311,000 office, and council voted against that. So I think they did a very good job of looking at that. But I think it would be good to have an office where people could come, because I prefer to have people working in an office as opposed to them working from home. So I think, to make a long answer short, I don't think I want to see an awful lot of changes out here in the near future.
Donna?
Well, Bob, I would have to go with you on that, because I don't think that we need to do a lot of infrastructure here. I think that we've got to take into account the budget that we would have available for a lot of these things. But I do know if there's new development, which would be behind me, there's probably going to be another playground in there. And that's okay. I mean, playgrounds are good to keep the kids busy and having some activities to do. But, you know, and maybe like an office, maybe if council approves it, you know, a CCAN set up as an office. I know they don't want CCANs here, but, you know, money is money. And other than that, I like it the way it is. Thank you.
Mike?
For infrastructure, I foresee an office that council and CAO can work out of. Their proposed one got shot down, thankfully. It was a bit much. But something along those lines. And I'd like to see fiber out here, because there is an older generation of people out here. They can receive telehealth all through that. And if we put in fiber, I'm not saying us, we could look at grants, things like that, getting fiber in here to open up that communication for everybody would be great. And then, again, the parks, making sure those are upkept in the hall. That's about it. I don't want to change too much. I don't want to add much else, so that's all I've got.
Okay, next question will be Mike, Bob, and then Donna. We all know the issues that we had with the boat ramp and the dock this year. What are your plans to repair and or upkeep those facilities?
So the boat ramp, obviously we need permits and stuff from the provincial government, and that can take a while. One of the biggest issues that I've heard was, well, what if Paradise Shores opens up, they're gonna overrun the boat launch. We need to talk to the county and see if they'll come in and help us with that boat launch, because it is white sands from what I understand, but it's public use and everybody's using it. So if we can have that relationship with the county and see about upgrading it, adding another ramp, creating more parking space. I think most of us here and anybody who in the village uses that boat ramp. So I think it's important to keep it and upgrade it as we can.
Bob?
I agree that we need to repair the boat ramp. The issue is that it certainly takes a lot of permits with Alberta Environment and Parks, and it could take many, many months to get those permits. So certainly we have to follow the law and get the proper permitting, and then when that is done, then we repair the boat ramp, and we can get some advice if there's a way to strengthen that boat ramp so that we don't have the same problems again in the future. And it really is as far as, you know, getting used, I think it's a public use facility. I don't think some people have talked about, you know, whether we should charge for it. You know, people that aren't in the community, I just don't think that's practical. We don't want to be paying somebody to be sitting over there to collect $20 or whatever. It is what it is. If people from outside the community are going to use it, so be it. That's part of us being good municipal citizens. Thank you.
Donna. Well, I definitely agree that that boat ramp should be maintained, but again, we're working in an environment where we've got Alberta Environment and permits and things like that. So when the ice comes along and shoves the cement up and destroys the boat ramp, I mean, we have to deal with it as it is and fix it, right? But I do think that we should be using the fact that we have a boat ramp available and beaches available for public use, not just White Sands use, but for public use, as part of our negotiations with the county, because people from the county come and use our water facilities, watering their cows with big tanks. You know, they're part of the traffic on that road. People coming to use the boats from boat ramp from somewhere else are, you know, we're being good municipal citizens, so we need to make this county of Stettler feel like there's some value that we're providing that they're not paying for, so that they understand that we have to work together as a community all around. Anyway, that's my comment.
Great, thank you. Donna, you will be up next, Bob and Mike. So this is a quick question. How would you rank the following 3 items in terms of priority for our summer village, with 1 being the most important? Roads, septic, and garbage recycling.
1.
No, which one? Which one is 1, 2, and 3?
Oh. You better say the list again.
Okay. Roads, septic, garbage recycling.
Roads, because nothing happens if you can't get here.
And number 2?
Would be septic.
And 3 garbage.
3
Okay.
is garbage.
Okay, Bob?
I certainly think all of them are important. I think roads and septic at this point in time are going hand in hand as 1A and 1B, because I think that's what the 2 of those combined are what's causing the large increase in the cost of having your sewage removed. So I think those are number 1A and number 1B.
Mike?
I would say roads would be number 1, and goes hand in hand with septic, as Bob was saying. Septic number 2, and then 3 would be garbage and recycling.
It was mentioned earlier that our shorelines and beaches are not similar to other more public shorelines and beaches. What do you feel should be council's responsibility in the maintenance and upkeep of those areas? And this is Bob, Donna, and then Mike, sorry.
So basically the village leases the right of way and the municipal, and then they have the municipal reserve, and then there's an environmental reserve. So I think, quite honestly, it is the village's responsibility to manage those areas. And I actually, quite honestly, glad that they are managing those areas because I don't want people just stripping trees unnecessarily. That being said, I think that with that responsibility, you have to negotiate with Alberta Environment and Parks to, because there are some rules of land that is owned by the province, which is the right of way, which is affects where to store docks and things like that. So quite frankly, I think the village has had responsibility. I think they've done a good job of managing that in the past. I think they've made sure that we've kept the berm there so that we don't lose the sand, and I think they've done a good job in the past, and I think the village will continue to do a good job of that in the future.
Donna?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I myself have been really impressed with how the beaches have been kept. They're natural, they're usable, and I really hadn't taken much thought about, what I used when I went swimming or wading in water or watching the birds, or I just loved it for the way it was. So I would say the council has been doing a really good job of keeping it as natural as possible while making it very usable for people. Thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, I think with the environmental reserve and the municipal reserve, their hands are tied on what they can and can't do. I feel like it's been upkept fairly well. All the beach accesses are usually fairly maintained. I don't think I'd really change anything in that.
Okay, thank you. The risk of being a little bit repetitive, but this was one that was submitted, is what is your position on the road ban and what solutions to it might you suggest? And this is Mike, Bob, and Donna.
My position on the road ban is it needs to be lifted immediately. I think we can all agree the prices for getting septics pumped out is crazy. And in the spring, if they continue the road ban, any development, houses going up, it's going to cost more to transport it in. It needs to be lifted. And by doing that, to get it lifted, we have to have that relationship with the county. And discuss with them, what's the real issue there, and figure that out.
So I watched the council meeting on YouTube from the County of Stettler with regard to the road weight allowance. And they have 3 points. One is that we have 400 residents there and they have a few farmers that live around the road, so that we're using the road more than them. Their second point on that is that the cost of maintaining that road is significantly more than any other similar road in the county. The third point they have is that most of the complaints coming in about the road have been White Sands residents. So now I don't know whether any of that is true or untrue, but that's their position on it. Now, as far as solving the issue, as I said, I'm repeating myself from earlier, the issue is the legality of the issue. If the county has, if what they've done is illegal, that they are not allowed to put those road bans on, then we have to go to municipal affairs and discuss how that issue gets solved. If what they are doing is legal, then they hold all the cards in this, and our only option is negotiating some kind of a cost-sharing basis for upkeeping that road. So again, I know council has been working very, very hard on it. I know they had a meeting about that today, and it'd be interesting to see what they had to say. So it's certainly not an issue that's being ignored by our council, and I'm not going to say that I have any magic wand to get that solved right now, but it's just going to take a lot of negotiation and reasonable people coming to a reasonable solution.
Thank you. Pass
Oh, I'm
that.
sorry.
Yeah, I too watched that County of Stettler meeting, and there was some things that I was going, what are they talking about? They were talking about Bayview Road, and I'm going, what is Bayview Road? So I had to look it up in the map, and that's the paved road that goes right alongside the lake by Paradise Shores. And I'm going, I never even knew that existed, and so I drove it, and it has like well, I won't say 1,000, but it has a lot of speed bumps on it, and the speed limit is fairly low and stuff. And I'm going like, why are they saying something about this road being part of the traffic? And they had to put a big road ban on it or something in one of the meetings. And I'm just kind of going, you know, if Paradise Shores comes on, there's going to be a lot more traffic on that part of the road, and they're going to, I hope they're not going to try and make us pay for it, because they're going to have 700 or more units in that area, and we only are 500, and a lot of us go other directions. So I was really concerned about their portrayal and wondering what the real facts were. So I think we have to find out what the facts are. We certainly know what their position is, and we know what their position about the White Sands Council is, because they've said stuff too. So we have to find out what's really going on and what's really driving this wanting to harm our community, because their weight ban is actually causing more harm, because now the septic truck has to go twice. Anyway, that's my point.
Great, thank you. Mike?
Sorry. You're in the wrong place.
Oh, did you? Okay. Okay, sorry. I'm just getting,
You can talk.
I was trying not to cough all over you guys, so. All right, so we've all answered, we're all good. So that is the extent of the questions that I have here tonight, unless you want me to make some up, which I don't think I need to. At this point in time, I'd first of all like to thank all of you candidates. You gave all of the questions your consideration. You answered them fully and completely. And I am sorry that we didn't have Christine here tonight, and I'm sure that she will watch and put some of her answers on the Facebook or however she chooses to communicate as well. So thank you again for stepping up and stepping out and trying to make our community a better place. To all of you as ratepayers of this community, thank you so much for your attention tonight. Thank you for the respectful way that you listened, that you participated, and the questions that you asked. All of those are so important towards making this community and the democracy that we have a great place. So thank you to you. To the Hall Society, this is your first kick at the cat of doing this, and I think you did an amazing job. You talked about all the things that could go wrong, all the things that could go right. You wanted to make sure that everyone had an option, and it was as unbiased as possible, and thank you so much for putting on this event this evening. Tamara, any announcements that you want to talk about?
No, I actually, everything that you just said, I wanted to say.
You can say it again.
Yeah, I guess, thank you to the candidates that are here, and Christine who's not. Thank you so much for caring about our community and putting your name forward. And thank you to everybody for caring so much to come and listen to hear. And I think that the only other thing that I can add that there's no way Leona could have mentioned is we're going to have a Halloween party this year, and it's going to be on October 29th, so we'll share some more details.
Awesome, awesome. So as we set up, closing comments are 2 minutes. You are invited to come and use the podium. I promise I haven't coughed over it that much. We will go in the reverse order. Christine would have been the first speaker, but And you told us that she doesn't have closing comments. So it'll be Bob, Mike, and then Donna, and I'll leave my mic here.
Well, thank you very much for everybody for coming out this evening. I don't know if you quite realize what rarefied air you're in today, because I've spoken in front of the Prince of Wales and the Duke of Cambridge and 6 other British pubs. So I first want to thank Donna, and I want to thank Mike, because this is the way elections should be run, where we just come up here and give our views, and we don't cut anybody else down, and we don't say anything derogatory about anybody else. So I want to thank you very much for that. Buffalo Lake is my favorite place on earth. I have had some of my greatest memories here. I spent time with my brothers here, my buddies here. I spent time with my family here. And all I really want is to leave a legacy for my family, to enjoy this place for as long as they live.
Perfect. So in closing, I'd like to again thank the Hall Society and fellow candidates for coming out, as well as everybody else here and people tuning in tomorrow. I'm committed to working with you and council to make our community safe, prosperous, and vibrant for generations to come. As a young father and husband who resides outside of the village, I understand firsthand the current challenges and disconnect, and know opportunities exist to improve. I've had the honor and privilege to serve our country, and now I wish to serve you. So I'd appreciate your vote in October 22nd. Thank you.
There's one up there. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'll stay.
Sorry.
It's okay. We have an opportunity to continue to be different from every other place that exists, because I have never seen a community quite like this. This is very refreshing to be living here and to be offering myself to serve as a counselor. It is my humble request that you please choose the person that you think will help move us towards the future and deal with the issues and concerns that we have today. Thank you.
That concludes our evening. I think Tamara has some more stuff.
When did you say, Leona, you've done such a great job. Thank
Oh,
you.
You're welcome. We have coffee, we have goodies, we have an opportunity to visit with our neighbors, and we're done a half an hour early.